Have you ever seen the State Department or the White House referring to the ongoing illegal Israeli settlements and telling us that the United States has always opposed Israeli settlements? Well, it's time to look at the facts and see what's really going on with that. In 2004, President George W. Bush issued a letter to Ariel Sharon, then Prime Minister of Israel, in which he recognized the major Israeli settlement blocks. The reason that this letter was issued is because then Prime Minister Sharon was giving the Gaza Strip to the Palestinians, clearing it of all Jewish presence, and in return for that, the Bush administration had decided that it would be important to show the Israelis that in return for their concession and goodwill, the United States would recognize the Israeli settlement blocks. So I just would like to read part of this letter from 2004, which was issued by the Bush administration in April 2004. The letter reads, "In light of the new realities on the ground, including already existing major Israeli population centers, it is unrealistic to expect that the outcome of final status negotiations will be a full and complete return to the armistice lines of 1949, and all previous efforts to negotiate a two-state solution have reached the same conclusion." So the letter is stating not only that going forward, any negotiations with the Palestinians would recognize the major Israeli population blocks, but also it made clear that all previous negotiations recognized that. So it may have not been a spoken fact up to that point, but it was clear that the United States of America and any party negotiating a peace deal between the Israelis and the Palestinians would recognize the major population blocks in the West Bank. The letter continues, "It is realistic to expect that any final status agreement will only be achieved on the basis of mutually agreed changes that reflect these realities." So it's clear that there's no question that the existing population blocks that belong to Israel are going to remain in Israel's control. So given that fact, that the major Israeli population blocks in what's referred to as the West Bank are recognized by the United States government, it is a rewriting of history to say that the United States has always opposed the settlements, and it is also untrue to oppose building in the West Bank if it's done in a major Israeli population area. It's contrary to historical U.S. commitments to tell Israel not to build in Jerusalem, to tell Israel not to build in Ma'ale Adumim and other large Israeli population blocks, because the fact is that those were already recognized as a reality by President Bush. It's important to note that this is not something that was just recognized by President Bush, but it was later voted on in Congress. It was introduced as a bill in Congress, and Congress then voted it into law. So technically speaking, and this is something that experts on international law also make clear, please take a look at the video description down here to see a link to the actual articles and letter. It's clear that everyone recognizes that the United States of America recognizes the major population blocks, and that according to international law, it would be extremely problematic for the United States to go back on its word recognizing that. It's also important to note that when we talk about Jewish settlements, there's an extremely racist aspect to that, and that is as follows. To say that a person who's an Arab can build in the West Bank, but someone who's Jewish can't, just based on their ethnicity, is something that is extremely racist and dangerous. If you take a look at the major Arab population areas, there are no Jews living there. There are Arabs living in every which part of Israel. So supporting this ethnic cleansing, supporting this notion that Arabs can build wherever they want between the Jordan River and the sea, and Jews cannot build, and that Jewish building is something that deserves government scrutiny, is supporting a racial discriminatory process, and it's important to make sure to speak out against such a process and not be part of such a process. Thank you so much for listening today, and please stay tuned for more. Thank you. Have a great day.